Here we go. Check the From the Shore to Be More show. Coming through strong with that podcast flow. Sunday afternoon at 2 to 3 p.m. slot. Got the Interstate 95 Turnpike hot. When you tune in, they don't just entertain. They come with the message that presses the brain. Those other podcasts, they seem microscopic. Cause they're the big dogs that drop the hot topics. So sure, be more dumb. You just stay ready. With DJ Boom, Shaheem, and Montemi. Put them together, there's a treacherous street. From the tri-state area to the DMV. So sit back, relax, get your Sundays on. On after morning, gone before dawn. That positive vibe that we hitting so strong. With this podcast show, you can't go wrong. So, here we go, here we go. 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 What's up, everybody?
Hey, family! World family.
Welcome back once again to the From the Shore to Be More show. I am the one and only, the original Shaheem.
And I am Deborah Singletary, a.k.a. Aunt Debbie.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Today, we might be soldiering on without Boom, guys, but Aunt Debbie and I are going to do the best we can to give y'all the best show possible. How about that?
Oh, my God, am I going to have to talk about sports?
Maybe just a little bit, but it ain't too much. It ain't no football going on.
Oh,
But basketball is back after the All-Star break, so I'm just going to go over that real fast because my Knicks are 5 straight wins after the All-Star. Well, 2 straight wins, 3 straight, though. 2 after the All-Star weekend, and they are on a roll. And so I want to shout out to my New York Knicks. They are looking so good, and I'm so happy for them after watching them suck for so many years.
oh.
Oh, it's right, but they're looking good, so I'm happy for them. How was your week, on Debbie?
My week was good. You know, I saw something on TV that touched me. There was a university that had been involved in a mass shooting happened in their school, and do you know what I'm talking about? And the coach, they had a show recently, and I would have prepared this if I thought I was going to say it, but the coach asked for a minute of silence, and they were crying, and that team won. And I am really encouraged by the idea of teamwork, not only as it shows up, oh, thank God, there he is. I'm trying to talk about sports. I'm loving the concept of teamwork that sports teaches us.
Yeah. That was a beauty. I played sports as a younger person, much younger person, and that was one of the biggest things that I got of it. The companionship, like when you're on a sports team, even from the little guys up, it's a family. We win together, we lose together, and it is a beautiful feeling. This mic is driving me crazy. All right, that's a little better, and it is a beautiful feeling. I miss it, honestly. That's one of the beauties of sports.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What's up, Boom?
Hey,
What's up, everybody? DJ Boom here in the building.
We're glad to see you made it on a special edition of From the Shore to Be More, everybody. As you can see behind me, you can see what we're doing, and I'm going to get into all that in a moment.
I'll be trying. I'll be making it do what it do. Listen, y'all. Y'all knew what my morning was like. My goodness, I'll be running.
Yeah,
I love it, though.
The world out there. But we're glad you made it, Boom. We're glad you made it. Before we jump into today's topic, which is a great one. Oh my, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Before we jump into it though, I want to acknowledge last week's show, of course. The definition of success, living your dreams. It was a great show last week, everybody. If you missed it, I encourage you to go and check it out. It is definitely it can be life altering for some people. And you can find it everywhere. I want to also mention we're available everywhere, all streaming platforms. So join your work week if you happen to miss us on Sunday. We understand sometimes things come up, you get busy, but you can catch us during the week
at any time, in your car, at the house. It doesn't even matter. So I encourage you to go back and listen to the shows, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are on a mission to get subscribers right now, and I'm telling you, especially since we'll soon be coming up on our 50th show soon. So we want to definitely go for subscribers. All right.
Sounds like a plan. Listen, I got some things in the work to make that happen too. We'll talk about it off air later today.
Great. I'm open to anything. I'm all ears, definitely, when it comes to that. So people, don't forget to subscribe, please. Also, I want to acknowledge, because I had a busy week. It was a busy week for me leading up to this show. I'm always busy, but particularly this week. So there's some things I want to mention. I want to first congratulate my sister-in-law, Jamaica. We went to her, I don't know what they call it, but her AA meeting on Friday night. And she is 7 years sober. So she got her coin for that. And so I definitely want to acknowledge that and say congratulations to Jamaica, because I know it couldn't have been easy. But 7 years.
That's big.
So. That's big.
Fantastic.
And so to sit there and listen to everybody's stories, boy, I tell you. But the struggle continues. And so congratulations to Jamaica.
This is what I was trying to do. I was trying to put a I'm all slow with it, but congratulations. Congratulations, because super duper proud of you. It's not an easy thing to do.
No.
That it is, but it's not, especially if you're a part of the family that we're a part of. It is not an easy thing to do. So
it's not an easy thing to do. And I know for sure, because last night, Saturday night, I was at a party. A lot of alcohol, of course. And it's not easy. It's not easy when you're seeing everybody else having a good time, and you know, and all that. You want to join in and be part of all that, but we all have to understand what alcohol does to each and every one of us, and be responsible for ourselves. And for me, it's a no. And so, of course, I didn't touch anything. But the party was. My sisters got together, and I want to shout them out. And then I'm going to get into the show, but I want to get into this first. I want to shout them out because they threw a surprise party for my nephews who are turning 35. Wow. Watching these kids grow up was something, but they turned 35. And my nephews, you know, they're not silly. So I just knew they knew. I'm going to show these surprises, and you tell me if you feel they knew or not, all right? First, I'm going to show Casey. My nephews are Jihad and Casey, for those who don't know. First, I'm going to show Casey, and you tell me. No, he wasn't. Let me see what Jihad going to look like when he come through the door. No, it's Casey.
I love that.
Casey wasn't facing me. Yeah.
Right, he's not.
Yeah.
He wasn't facing me, but I didn't think Casey was so surprised. But I'm gonna show Jihad real quick.
Still refuse to face that.
Oh, I love the love.
But tell me, did you not think that he was surprised?
Absolutely.
Yes, it was beautiful.
Yeah, Casey was surprised because he never turned around.
He never turned around.
He never turned because he didn't want everybody to see the reaction on his face.
He got choked up. He got choked up. It was beautiful. So shout out to my sisters for hooking them up. It was really a good night. I told them that I would show some of the pictures, so I'm going to show some of the pictures real fast, and then I'll move on. You know, of course, there's me and my nephews. I just love my nephews. I love all my nephews and nieces. Don't get it twisted. I love them so much, and to watch them grow into young men. This is them with their fathers, Big Casey and David. Yeah, well, and this is not a picture that we can get often, people. Let me tell you. So this was a once in a lifetime pick that I absolutely had to get.
I haven't seen them two in
man, I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about all that in 1 minute. Of course, my sisters, Ursula and Angela with Casey and Jihad, looking beautiful as ever. And my sister presented them. Angela presented them with separate blankets of the memories throughout their lives, and it was just a beautiful evening. Beautiful evening. And so shout out to my sisters again.
Wow.
Real quick, back to this picture. Everybody take a look at the dads. And there's a reason why I'm bringing that up one more time. And then I'm going to move along. Being with them again, because I mean we're going back a long time, guys. A long time. Yeah. I gotta admit, for a little bit, I felt old. I ain't gonna lie. For a little bit, I felt old watching these boys grow into men, 35 years old, and then reuniting with fellas I haven't hung with probably decades. I felt a little old. I gotta admit, but it quickly went away though, because when I realized and got to appreciate the time that I spent with everybody, not just the boys, but their fathers, my sister, and it was just a great night. All that went away, and it just reminded me of all the happiness that these boys have brought to me and to our lives, and I'm looking forward to many, many more years. So shout out to them. It was a great night. Shout out.
Allow me to shout out my handsome, my beautiful nephews. I take such joy and pride and inspiration in the two of you. And you know, I'm not an easy woman to get. So that if I show up every Sunday, it is because what you do is valuable and worthy. And I'm so fortunate and happy to be a part of it.
Oh, thank you. That touched my heart. That really did. That really did. And we thank you for taking your time out every Sunday to spend it with us and our audience and be part of this whole experience. And I've been checking the comments. I'm glad you mentioned that. I've been checking the comments. We're going back through some of the streams and everything and seeing what people are saying. I've been getting a lot of positive feedback about you. In fact, there's a particular gentleman who's kind of smitten with you. I meant to bring that up to you, but I'm going to show you the comments before I show everybody else. But that'll be another time. Yeah, he seems to like you a lot. But we'll talk about that another time.
Listen, you know, I went into to get some incense yesterday, and I walked into the door, and there was this young man. He said, "Oh my God, I thought you were my baby's mother." I was like, "I love how y'all rap in Harlem." Like, thank you. I'm more likely your baby's mother's great grandmother, but
smooth talker.
So flatter me. So I'm flattered.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
That's right.
Let's get into it.
We doing all types of flattering things. You know, so I'm gonna say this real quick. Yeah, one of the things I was doing this morning, it was supposed to get done yesterday, but I listen, y'all, I'm so super excited about being a grandfather coming up in June.
Congratulations.
You know, I went, my granddaughter's name is Luna. I'm not sure what the last name is going to be, but it's Luna Desiree. And so I went out and got this tattoo, if you can see it.
Oh, wow.
It's beautiful.
Listen, the rest of the grandkids is ish out of luck because I ain't getting another one. But no, I'm just.
You only have two arms.
I mean, she was the first one, so the first one get the privilege. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So I'm super excited about becoming a grandfather. It's a real
congratulations. Wow. It really is a beautiful thing. It really is.
All right, let's jump into Black History Month.
Yes. This topic touched, of course, us, as Black people, but this was such a big. It's impossible to fit the contribution of Black people, African Americans, to this country in 1 hour show. It's so many names. The list just goes on. It really is. It really is. From the very beginning of this country, we've been part of it. But also, I want to acknowledge the fact that our history didn't just start here in America. Of course, we were robbed of a lot of our history. We can't forget that we come from greatness, from great kings like Mansu Musa and Shaka Zulu and Sunni Ali. We can't forget we come from great kings. Our history didn't just start when we hit these shores. And
great farmers. And great farmers. So because sometimes, the people with the most dramatic titles get, pulled out of history. But there were people who, when they came to America, they knew how to farm, and they introduced better, efficient ways of farming. And so much so that many people are saying that Black history is America's history. America wouldn't be America without us.
Well said. Our contribution to this country has been so great. I don't think we can fit it all in 1 month. But we're going to try and give y'all just a little taste before Black History Month is over. Does anybody, and I want people to comment. We want your contributions too. Please comment on the show. If you have something to add, we'd love to hear it. All right.
Absolutely.
Just put it down in the comment section. We'll be happy to put it up. Does anybody know who's attributed with first starting Black History Month?
No, go ahead, tell me.
A man by the name of, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Carter G. Woodson.
Carter G. Woodson.
Who was a scholar in the early part of the 1900s. I think he first came up with the idea actually in 1915, if I'm correct. And people, if I'm wrong, you comment and correct me. We want to get it right. But I believe he came up with the idea originally in 1950. But it wasn't until 1976 when then President Gerald Ford officially recognized February as Black History in 1976. Does anybody know why February was chosen to be Black History Month? And it's not because it's the shortest month of the year, like some people would have you think. It's not that.
Well, those are the complainers that are never satisfied and always want to have something to say stuff like that. So, you know what I mean? No, I'm listening. You teaching me right now. I wasn't a school person, so you teaching me right now. Go ahead.
Teaching me too, Shaheem. So why?
Well, the reason why February was chosen, because the second week in February coincided with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. And so that was one of the reasons why February, and of course, two significant figures in Black history. And that's why February was chosen.
Wow.
Why was right. Why was right. And knowledge is power.
Right.
And knowledge is power. And so I it was important for me to definitely say that. Again, I want to acknowledge the fact that our contribution to this country has been since this country was started. For those who don't know, I'm pretty sure a lot of people do know. Everybody knows who was the first person killed in the Revolutionary War, don't we?
When you say his name, it'll be familiar to me. Crispus Attucks.
Crispus Attucks. Yes, Crispus Attucks. Black man was actually one of the first people to die in the Revolutionary War, this country's war for its independence, in case you didn't know that. So our contribution has been since the beginning. And like I said before, there has been so many people who've contributed to this country that it's impossible to fit it all into just 1 hour. But I'm going to give people a taste. You guys have anybody you guys want to talk about?
No, I only like to talk about me, so no, I don't.
Well, my absolute favorite, her birthday month is coming up, would be Harriet Tubman, who, as we know, not only freed herself, but she went back to free 300 others. And she said she could have freed more if they had known they were slaves. And what really impresses me about Harriet was when she got the concept of freedom, what she went out during the day, she was singing and lolly, lolly, la on her
Yeah.
way to freedom. And so the massa said, oh, there go Harriet singing, you know.
Mm,
So she didn't go busting out with guns. She went
no.
out singing. But
If
but she did need those guns later.
if I'm correct, and correct me if I'm wrong, weren't some of her messages of freedom in her song? In other words, when she would sing,
Hmm.
sometimes she would send code messages to other slaves about what was about to happen.
Mm,
That's
mm.
deep.
The old man, oh, black people are deep, boy. I'm about to get into it. I don't want to steal all my life, but I'm about to get into it. And of course, it's easy to talk about the Martin Luther Kings and the Frederick Douglasses and Harriet Tubmans and Rosa Parks and George
Malcolm
Washington
X.
Carver, because there are a select few that are taught in
Right.
our schools. Um, of course, and while we're saying schools, I want to recognize the fact that in Florida, they are trying to cut out some black studies out of the colleges there. This is an ongoing battle. This is a fact, people. You need to look up, pay attention, because they're trying to rewrite the history. Um, certain people don't want us to tell the story as far as how we got here and everything the way it happened. They don't want us to tell the story of the brutality that our people endured when in their experience here, and we're not going to let them do that. We're going to continue to tell our story like we're telling right now on the show. So pay attention, people. Don't let them rewrite history in Florida. All right, that governor's out of his mind. That being said, of course, it was easy to talk about the more popular people, but also we don't want people to forget people like Marcus Garvey. We don't want people to forget about Madam C.J. Walker or Katherine Johnson, who the movie Hidden Figures uh, was made after, and the women, because she wasn't alone. The other black women who were mathematicians and worked for NASA to help them get to the moon or get into space.
Right.
So
Ashe.
we
Yeah.
don't.
And may I add one of my favorites, George Washington Carver, who many people
Yes.
associate with the peanut. But not only was he a scientist, but he was an artist. And so that shows that we can be, and we all are certainly more than one thing. And I consider both George Washington Carver and Harriet Tubman as mystics, that they had to have a strong guidance from their spirits that led them. George Washington Carver says he his talking to the peanuts was actually a form of prayer, and that he prayed momently. And Harriet would say, which way? And she would get a signal as to which way to go. And when we focus more on the spiritual aspects of people, that could help us to tune into our own spiritual guidance systems.
Right, right. Um, we are we are just such a strong, resilient people. Um, Dr. Carver took the peanut and made so many things. Of course, one of my favorite things, peanut butter.
Would you
So I'm
like the
glad you brought him
peanut
up.
butter cookies?
Don't even get me started. Don't get me started. But of course, he created many other things out of the peanut butter.
Sweet potato was one of the crops he worked with.
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
And yeah, so he's definitely one of my favorites. Also, I want to mention when we talk about the presidency in itself. One of the first black people to actually run for president was Shirley Chisholm For those who don't know Shirley Chisholm, I suggest you go look her up. She was a great woman. I think it was early 70s when she started her bid for the presidency of the United States. So black people have been trying to run for president for a while now. It took a minute. We got Barack. It took a minute, but we got there. But we got there, and it started with Shirley Chisholm and other names like Jesse Jackson and the Reverend Al Sharpton come to mind too.
And that must wake people up to say the audacity of this skinny ass, four-eyed.
Hallelujah. Go ahead and say it, man.
Four-eyed black woman say she running for president. She dared. So whether the winning moment is when she declared herself worthy and qualified to be president.
And this was at a time, of course, before Barack. This was at a time where she could have been easily killed by some crazy gunman. And she stood up against the odds, and yes, she ran for president. And I've listened to some of Shirley's Miss Chisholm's speeches. And go back and people Google, listen to some of her. Oh, she was a powerful speaker. She was. I would follow her for sure. I would follow her for sure. She was a powerful speaker. So if you get a chance, Google, go back and listen. You will learn. I promise you, children, you will learn. Of course, Shirley Chisholm. And I also want to acknowledge. There's a lot of people. Like I said, there's no way that we could talk about this in 1 hour. Our contribution has been so great. Our contributions have been across the board. Science, math, art, music, fashion. The list goes on. Famous scientists, Benjamin Banneker, to today's scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson. For those who don't know who Dr. Tyson is, he is at the forefront when it comes to astrophysics and science. When it comes to space, I'll say that. I'm no genius. When it comes to space, he's at the forefront of it, and he is the guy that NASA goes to when they looking for answers.
Shaheem,
yes.
What's wrong with you, boy?
Huh?
Sports history.
Sports too, absolutely. We can't forget about sport. I didn't do that because that was easy. You know, we kind of when it comes to sports, we kind of running things.
Jackie Robinson.
Oh,
my father often talked about Jackie Robinson and how he was inspired by him, and Muhammad Ali. He inspired me spiritually. When he said, "I am the greatest," he really meant the divine creator. God is the great. Is the greatest. And Shaheem, that may not be your language, but try cosmos, because I imagine you believe in the cosmos because it's there. So he's saying the cosmos, the creative universe, is the greatest. And I identify with that. And so his message to us was to identify with the greatest within us, and the audacity to say I'm pretty.
Yes.
Arrogant.
Yes.
Or shall we say proud? And it gives us the permission, if we need it, to recognize our own beauty. So that was not frivolous.
And I'm so glad you brought up Muhammad Ali, because I had the privilege of seeing him fight on TV, of course. Which was a privilege, and it's easy to acknowledge his accomplishments in the boxing ring. But one of his greatest, for me at least, was when he stood up to the U.S. government and refused to fight in Vietnam. That for me stands before all of it. And what the U.S. government did to him was treacherous. Go look it up, people. These are facts. Don't you let them tell you your history. You go research it. You find out your own history. What the U.S. government did to him, they robbed him of his best years. And that was a shame. So I'm glad you brought up sports, because we have had so many great sports figures throughout the years. When you talk about boxing, when you talk about Jack Johnson, I want to talk about him because he was one of the first great black boxers. And the U.S. government threw him in jail and robbed him of his freedom because he married a white woman. Yes. And wait, I think it was married a white woman and traveled across state lines, which was against the law back in those days, people. Yes. It was against the law. Go look it up. And throughout boxing, football, and baseball, there have been some great names, as you mentioned, on Debbie.
Tennis.
It's
Before there was Serena and what's her sister's name?
Venus.
There was Arthur Ashe.
Arthur Ashe, who the
And
stadium is
probably
named for.
some before him, we don't know. But Arthur Ashe is identified as breaking barriers in tennis.
Track stars like Wilma Rudolph and things like that. I mean, the list goes.
Shame.
Oh, the list goes on and on. People, you have something to feel proud about. There's no reason for any black person in this country to hang your head at all. Ever.
You got that right.
You stand on the shoulders of greatness. Believe that. You know, right. and go. Please look. Don't just take 1 month out of the year to say, "Oh, I'm going to be into Black history." Make it part of your duty to go learn. Don't let them tell you your history because you're not going to get it all. I promise you that. Promise you that. Pay attention to Florida. Pay attention.
And if you want to be part of Black history, shop Black. Make a conscious
Can I get an
effort. Make a conscious effort.
Yes.
To buy from Black entrepreneurs and artists. Hire Black DJs. And when the history is written, we're going to boom. Are you working on your memoirs? Start making notes now, because when we look back, we need to be able to read about Boom and his brothers, who did some pioneering in DJ. Am I wrong? Is Auntie just gushing?
No.
You guys have made some
instrumental in DJing in Baltimore.
You've elevated it to a career when many of us thought of it as, Lord, they playing records. You elevated it. Come on, man. Get that. Start making notes on your memoir.
Listen, that's one of my not so strong suits. I am not a writer. To sit and write and be within thoughts. I used to do that when I was young, when I was trying to get a girl, but I I just don't write. People like, oh, you need to write down this and write this down. I just don't do it. I probably need to just hire somebody that'll take dictation and they write it. But
you could do that. You could speak into a micro, because I think all of us need to think memoir, because we all have personal histories that matter and that contribute to our family. But Boom, I offer to you that writing is not about writing. It is about allowing and channeling. The same way I might not dare to give a party because I think I don't know how to please. If I just open myself, I would do it. That's why I said take notes, because I had a feeling you would come up with that. I can't write. Let me just say this to you, Boom. You are not off the hook with that can't write. Writing is channeling. Make some notes, even dates and times and places, things that you might forget. And speaking of writers, Toni Morrison, my favorite, one of my favorites. The
so many great
Sky
authors
changed my life as a young Black woman who had never heard her story told.
Wow.
Listen, I know a lot of y'all were here for the show, especially you two were here for the show when I made you two mad when I said Black people get on my damn nerves.
I remember.
Well, it's the reality, but of course, it's not every Black person on the planet. Obviously, you're generalizing in a statement. But so I was looking through, I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram, the reels that they do, and I came across Jay-Z speaking about one of the greatest rappers in the history of rap, and that's Rakim. and he took some lyrics from one of his verses, which said, "Constant elevation causes expansion." When I heard that, because it's not like I didn't hear the song before, but when I heard it spoken in that way, immediately it clicked with me. Because what we're talking about, all the way back then to up to now, is we constantly are trying to elevate. And the fact that we're putting that into effect, we're consistently expanding. Shirley Chisholm kicked it off. Barack Obama made it happen. You know what I mean? Constant elevation causes expansion. So if nobody puts forth effort to try to make something happen, then no effort with no works is nothing. You know what I mean? So constant elevation causes expansion. And realistically, I loved it so much that was the other thing I was doing. I got that tattooed on my arm today. Constant, because that's all that I do. I know that's all that I do is constantly try to elevate. And so with doing that, I'm constantly expanding. Constantly expanding. I did not become a DJ to be where I am today. I'm being very, very honest. I did not become a DJ to be where I am today. But because I keep putting forth the effort into what I'm doing and keep making my craft better and acknowledging different things and blah, 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 I continuously expand. Continuously. And I'm never satisfied. So I'm gonna keep doing it. But all of these folks that we're talking about, if there was no Martin Luther King, there would be no Barack Obama. If there was no, there would be no Jesse Jackson if there was no Martin Luther King. All these people, constant elevation causes expansion. So I'm loving it. So some of y'all do get on my nerves, even shopping black. I try. And then you get those handful that give you that bad taste in your mouth, and you're like, this is why I go over here instead of over there, because your product, if you're going to put out a product, especially as a black person, we already have a stigma on us. I don't care what the product is, whether it's you're painting a picture or you're selling cornflakes in a supermarket. You're going to put out a product, put your all behind the fact that you're doing this. Understand the weight that we have on our shoulders already to achieve and to be great. Understand that, because we already come with a stigma. If you say shop black, you're already saying no, because they gonna want and da-da-da-da-da. Kick that stereotype out. Even as a DJ, I've heard people say, oh, I thought you was gonna come smelling like me. Or I thought you wasn't even going to come dressed. You're going to have I'm doing a wedding, so I'm going to show up in a sweatsuit. No. If you're going to put out a product, be proud of your product. Love your product. Put your product out, and you will get love in return for that product that you're putting out. It doesn't matter what the product is.
More importantly, love yourself. Love your people. And I'm just saying love your people. I mean, again, get back to our contribution to
but before you go on, Shaheen, the aunt in me wants to say something to Boom that we cannot afford to say publicly, that Black people get on our nerves. We are already so down on ourselves. So to hear it coming from you, and even though you may not be including me, I'm a Black person. So when you say Black people get on my nerves, you could be talking about me, and you could be talking about yourself, and you could be talking about your children and your grandchildren. It is unfair to say that, to charge Black people with sometimes putting out inferior products when white people do it all the time. But there's so many of them who are putting it out that we don't get to say, yeah, white people mess up. White people mess up way more than Black people ever could mess up, because they are fourfold, 100-fold out there with the resources to do something. So relatively speaking, Black people don't do any less than white people do. So
You're right. Devin, thanks for that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's not that they do less, as I explained before. As a black person putting out a product, when you see me, the first thing you want,
Bluetooth
if I tell you
disconnected.
my price is this amount, and your face frown up because, oh man, look out for a brother. The opposite of that is look out for a brother. This is my business. This is how I'm taking care of my
that's
family.
a different point.
You know what I
Yes,
mean?
we
That's
yeah.
my regard of that's my regard of they
Mhm.
get on my nerve. It gets on my nerves because you don't have to do that. You don't have to keep feeding into the stereotype that we are lazy, that we're never on time. I hate when people say, I don't like when people say, you on CP time. They talk about colored people time. I don't like that. No. Everybody's late. Like you said, I acknowledge everybody is late at some point or another. But we have a stigma already on us, and people keep feeding that stigma. They feed it. They consistently feed it. And then you feed it in the wrong environment and consistently make us look like we don't know what we're doing and we shouldn't be in business, or we blah, 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 blah. That's my concept of.
All right, before we
What if it's
get too far off the topic, though.
What if
I don't
it's
wanna
an
get too far off the topic.
Africanism? Shaheen, I'm going to play on today. What if it's an Africanism? Even the concept of time is a European concept. Africans' concept of time is slightly different, and you might say it'll work in Africa and not in America. I'll give you that. And bartering is an Africanism. That's one way, bartering, and what do they call that? So what happens to me if I say this painting is 2,000 and they say, oh my God, can't you come down? First of all, sometimes I'll even raise my price because I'm already planning I'll come down to 1,800.
Yeah,
and then if they say, oh, that's still too much, I'll say, oh my God, I'll take a plane. I'll do layaway. I know people don't do layaway. I'll do layaway. But the idea is to not just put something down because you're experiencing it from a black person's mouth, because in my dealings with white people, they do the exact same thing, and look at the salaries they pay people. If I go in there and I ask for a salary, they may not pay me the same way they're going to pay a white woman. So that is not a black thing to say, hey man, can you do better? That's doing business. That's smart. It is up to you to hold to your bottom line, not for them to change. You hold to your bottom line, man. Okay, I'm not saying anything for the rest of the.
Well, no, that's I mean, that sounds like a topic for a whole nother show. But I see how passionate you feel about it. But
it's all love. I understand the nuances and the words and the dialogue that we choose to use when we say certain things. So I understand where she's coming from.
Words can be powerful, and like you said, so as we know, so do some best authors. No, words are powerful, like Langston Hughes, like I mentioned earlier. But I'm glad you brought up music too, because our contributions to music have been great, actually. For those who don't know, early black artists were contributed with actually rock and roll. It turns out that their tunes were copied by certain white artists who shall remain nameless, and which evolved into what you now know as rock and roll. But not only that, of course, we all know who started hip hop and that whole culture, which of course is $1 billion industry right now. That
constant
is
elevation,
copied all over the world. And I'm glad I brought that up, because a lot of the younger hip hop artists tend to look down on the older ones. But I want to remind them that they wouldn't be making the money they make it now without the people who came before them, like Kool Herc, the Grandmaster Flash, so on and so forth. But of course,
did you know a white man tried to copyright hip hop so we couldn't use it?
I do know that. Mm-hmm. I absolutely 1,000% do know that. Yeah, I absolutely would. And I don't mean I'm not trying to be funny. I'm going to just take a guess here, shot in the wind. Not trying to be funny. I can almost guarantee he was Jewish. And I'm just going to say that. And people look it up. Get at me. Let me know. Hit me up in the comments.
Know.
But yeah, that did happen.
I'm going to play it safe and say right.
Okay. but also with music, movies. We have made great contribution in a movie star with big names like Gordon Parks. For those who don't know who Gordon Parks is, he produced a lot of those early great films, way before his time. Go back, check out his films and everything, and I'm sure you're gonna love them. They will touch your heart. Someone will break your heart. You'll be in tears. So this Sunday, while you have the time, go check out some of his movies. Not just him, but Melvin Van Peebles and today's Regina King, who's behind the camera now. Producing things and putting out things. I also have to mention Tyler Perry because he started his own studio. John Singleton, of course. John Singleton. And
I forgot her exact name, but the young lady who played the bad girl on the Players Club.
I don't know her name either.
Yeah, I forgot her name, but the bad girl on the Players Club. She now is behind the camera producing movies and plays and things of that nature. So we touch everything. We touch everything. There's nothing we don't touch.
Absolutely.
And when we touch it, we make it great. So you know what I mean. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Folks don't want to accept it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. When we in it, when we're a part of it, we make it great. So
absolutely. Even in the highest offices of this great land of ours. Of course, we all know about Barack Obama's achievements, 2-term president. We're very proud of that. But we also can't forget our generals who've served in the military, like Colin Powell, and I forgot his name slips me right now, but the current head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Look it up, or people send it to me. I forget his name. And on the Supreme Court, starting with Thurgood Marshall, so on and so forth. And last year was the first female African American, Ketanji.
Black woman.
Ketanji Jackson is her name. If I'm wrong, people comment. I'll put it up. So we can't forget that some black people have held some of the highest offices in this nation.
And again, like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, with the sports, back to the sports again, with the first 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, the first black referee, female black referee in the Super Bowl or even a football game period, and the first black female coach on a team. So again, constant elevation causes expansion. It's undeniable.
Because I can remember a time, and boom, I'm sure you do too, where there were no black coaches. There were no black coaches. There were no black trainers. I mean, it was ridiculous. There were no black people in the front offices. It was really ridiculous. But now we live in an era where I even saw a black driver in NASCAR.
Right.
Which is huge.
Hockey as well.
Which is huge because they were thought to be all white drivers. Not anymore.
Even in wrestling, all the way down to wrestling, all the champions were white people.
They were.
They was white guys, Hulk Hogan and what was it, Bruno Sammartino and da. They were.
This goes on and on.
And now you had The Rock as a black man champion. You're showing
whose father was a wrestler. Let's not forget
exactly
that.
Rocky Johnson. He was a champion in wrestling. He was part of that culture with the Junkyard Dog and Tony Atlas.
Yeah.
And that segregated, culture of wrestling as well. So he was a part of that. And now we got several black champions, in wrestling and doing this and doing that. So again, with everything we touch turns to gold. We got the Midas touch. You know what I mean?
Again, our contributions have been so big, man. It's impossible to put it all in 1 hour and speak about everybody. So we missed the name. We don't mean to. It's just a lot, And like I said, if you guys can think of somebody, let us know. We happily put it up. But also, I want to recognize the fact that black people come a long way in television, just as well as movies. Where I can remember when you wouldn't see black people in commercials on TV. I come from an era like that, where now I think we're everywhere. We had our particular black shows that would come on TV at a particular hour or whatever particular day, and that was it.
Listen,
was it.
I feel like that mold was broken when Michael Jackson and Alfonso Ribeiro made the Pepsi Generation commercial.
Interesting.
That's
That
true.
was a moment. That was a moment. I'm
But
glad you
you
brought
know,
up Michael Jackson because he was one of the first people to come on MTV when MTV would not show black people. No, they wouldn't.
And Run DMC was the first rap group
First
to
rap
be
group.
on MTV.
Hats off to Run DMC, one of my
Absolutely.
all-time favorites.
When they wouldn't do it. And now again, look at it. We all over the place. So again, everything we touch turns to gold.
and
And
sometimes what made us powerful is we weren't begging people. We were doing the James Brown. I ain't asking nobody to give me nothing. Open up the door.
Right.
I get it
That's
myself,
coming
and
through.
he's opening up the door to get it himself. So a lot of times it's not about trying to get them to recognize us, trying to get them to hire us, trying to get them to give us more money. Sometimes it's about owning our own power and going after what it is we want and creating and then they start knocking on our door saying, can I have some?
yeah, I'm gonna throw something out there, a word out there, and on Debbie, maybe you can remember this. Boom, maybe you do. Black exploitation films. Does anybody remember that? Huh? I remember that whole era. Shaft and
right. Foxy Brown
the,
and
Superfly.
Mac. The Mac. Well, I still watch those films, by the way. I'm a junkie. Yes, I am. I grew up on that stuff. People. These were films made back in the 70s or late 60s, whatever. That when we couldn't get in, when these movie companies wouldn't hire us, we would make our own films, and they were low budget films. You could tell, but we didn't care. We would pack in the theaters and we would watch them, and they would tell stories about our lives and what was going on in our communities that were being ignored at the time. And it was great. It was great. You probably look at them now and laugh, but that's what we had, and we loved it. We ate it up.
Oh, Pam Grier. That's what I was trying to think of her name.
Pam Grier. Oh,
yes.
I had such a crush on her.
Oh my God, she's fine. God,
I don't know.
fine.
I was going to say I don't know of a guy who didn't. It might have been some women too. I don't know. I don't know who didn't.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me she wasn't a hottie. Come on now. Absolutely.
And so it's great that we have this month to recognize the contribution of Black people and African Americans to this country. But let's not just make it a month, people. Let's always try to, like Boom said, elevate, and stay in touch with our history. Don't let them teach it to us.
For the young people that don't know, for y'all that don't know, In Living Color, which was an all-black cast of comedians, was the first all-black cast to be aired on TV on a national network, which was Channel 45. Absolutely. In Living Color. Constant elevation.
They were historical, weren't they?
Absolutely.
Oh my God, they were funny.
They launched the careers of a lot of people opening that show up, including some white careers like Jim Carrey and other artists, other comedians, other artists. Jamie Foxx. Shout out to Jamie Foxx from that show. Shout out to Keenan for creating the show. Keenan Ivory Wayans for even creating the show. Shout out to Martin. Shout out to What's Happening from back in the day, because that's where Martin came from. What's Happening Now, actually. He was on that show. Shout out to Martin for breaking down doors. And shout out to Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor and Bill Cosby. Shout him out.
Red Fox.
Red Fox for breaking down doors.
Moms Mabley. The list goes on and on.
Moms Mabley. Oh my God. I still know.
We got to talk about moms, boy.
Flip Wilson. Come on now.
Yeah, Flip Wilson.
Shout him out. Shout him out.
And I'd like to shout out those people whose names we will never, ever, ever know, who have moved us forward. Shout out to the people who listen to the music. Shout out to the people who buy the art. Shout out to the people in who's not in the forefront of the movement, but they're one of the thousands of people marching. when I think of the Harlem Renaissance, and they throw up Langston Hughes' name and Zora Neale Hurston were at a party, shout out to all of the people who were at the party with Langston Hughes, whose photo wasn't taken and whose names weren't notated, because there could not have been a cultural movement forward without those people whose names we don't even know, but
Hence the
whose
reason.
substance we
Well said.
live on.
Hence the reason, as a DJ, I'd like to throw customer appreciation events, because there could be no
Mm.
DJ Boom without clients,
Without the
without
audit,
customers,
without the
without y'all coming
customers.
out and listening to the karaoke,
Mhm.
without y'all coming out and listening to R&B Saturday nights and whatever else I do, the silent headphone events. Without y'all, there is no DJ Boom. So shout out to every single one of y'all that's continuously supporting and loving on all your DJs that's out here.
And as we're talking about Black history, I want to acknowledge the Black family, of course, who's been through these journeys throughout the century, throughout the years in this country, and been through the struggles and everything, through slavery, the abolition of slavery, the Jim Crow laws, to family members being hung from trees, and managed to survive it all, including my own, who've made contributions to this state of New Jersey, right here in Monmouth County. My family, on my mother's side, I'm speaking, one of our earliest relatives was freed from slavery long before the Civil War, in the early 1800s, right here in the state of New Jersey in Monmouth County, and our family flourished and went on to own vast swaths of land, own stores and businesses. So I want to acknowledge the Black family too, because through the struggle, we've been side by side through it all. Side by side through it all. It hasn't been easy, but we have arrived. That being said, I also want to acknowledge the fact that major studios recognize us now, and you can see a lot of special events and movies and things that streaming networks are putting up, like Disney Plus for Black History Month, excuse me. Like Disney Plus and Paramount Plus, and the list goes on and on. Amazon is also putting up a special movies and things for Black History Month. So we're being acknowledged, and that's so important. You're seeing our characters, excuse me, a lot of characters that are important to white people now being played by African Americans and Latinos and things. And this would have been unheard of decades ago. So the needle is changing. Pretty soon we're going to not only be acknowledging white history or Black history, but everybody's contribution to this great nation of ours, the indigenous people, Asian people, Latino people. That day is coming. It's a long road to walk, but it's coming. It's definitely coming.
Absolutely.
You guys want to add before I start closing out?
Go ahead, take it, Auntie.
That's all right. That's all right. Anything to add about Black History Month before we start breaking it down?
No, I'll include mine when y'all let me talk at the end.
All right. Well, again, we just want to acknowledge Black History Month. It's not over yet. People go out and take your time, especially this beautiful Sunday. It's cold here, but it's still a beautiful sun. Oh my, what? But it's still a beautiful Sunday. And if you sit in the house, get yourself something warm to drink, whether it's tea, coffee, whatever you prefer, and put on a good special, documentary, a movie. Learn something. It'd be good for your soul. All right.
It's actually pretty pleasant down here right now.
What? Don't be telling me that. Bad. It's cold up here.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Cold in New York too.
It's fairly pleasant down here right now. Anytime I can walk around just with a sweatsuit on, without a coat, it's decent weather. It's not hot or cold. It's just decent weather. I could go play basketball on this. I could do that.
I wish I could. Everybody playing basketball unless you're playing in a sheepskin coat up here. All right. That being said, Boom, what you got coming up this week?
Oh man, I'm back at it again. The grind never stops, and I promise, as long as I got breath in my body, I'll make sure it does not. Let's see. I'm actually off on Monday, so I really enjoy those days to take some time and reflect on myself. And now that I've been given this homework to do, now I'll start recording some memoirs.
And
on
you
my
too,
off days,
Shaheed.
I will start recording some because I do believe that that's very important. But on Tuesday night, the ball gets rolling again. I am downtown Canton, in Boston Street at Judy's Island Grill, turned all the way up from 7 to 11. Wednesday night, I'm back at Loafers from 8 to 12, and that's in Catonsville. Then on Thursday night, I'm at the Olive Branch for Ladies Night. Saturday night, I'm at the Olive Branch, and then early Sunday morning, I hit the road to head up to Boston because I have a Solid Headphone event on Monday and Tuesday in Boston. So I'll be there for the weekend.
Wow. Travel safe, man. Be careful.
And look, I was telling Auntie, then Tuesday, I finish in Boston. I drive back to Baltimore, straight back to work. So
Youth. That's youth.
Yeah, be careful on the road.
I'll make it do what it do. Absolutely. I ain't got no choice. I got a lot of responsibility on me.
And a lot you want to do, and a lot you desire to do.
Absolutely. I got a lot that I'm living for right now. So I most certainly will be careful.
All right. Well, Debbie, what you got going on this week?
So in honor of Black History Month, I wanted to just display, I don't know how well you can see that, the cover. This is a book about artists. It's called On My Mind.
On My Mind.
Just a bunch of artists who are connected to Brooklyn some way. So I'm in the history books. This is just one of them. When my niece Chanel was here a month or so ago, I told her where all of my, books with my name in it are, because I'm part of history and therefore part of your future. And I'm planning to give astrology classes starting in March. So stay tuned.
Awesome. You're quickly becoming one of the hardest working people in the business. Congrats, though.
She's been one of the hardest working people in the business.
Congratulations. All right. And, well, people, y'all already know what I'm up to. And, yes.
What you up to?
Finally, Waitlist is now out for everybody. Amazon Music, iTunes, whatever you prefer, it's available everywhere. So support your guy. Go out, spend a little change. It's not that much money, I promise. Help a brother out and go get that song. But not only that one, my new song is On Tonight. That also is now available everywhere. So people, please go out, support your guy. Oh, thank you very much. Support your guy. Go out. It doesn't cost that much money. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to do it today.
to show me a little love. If it's all right with you guys, I just want to give people a little sample of the song. The song's called It's On Tonight. Oh, thank you, Boom. I want to play the new one for everybody because they haven't heard this one yet. But I'm going to play a little bit and then we can start to take the show out, all right?
Let's go.
Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror and I think this mirror ain't even doing me justice. I hope this sell cause I'm tired of working. I'm trying to get the whole world twerking. Wanna buy every pretty lady a bird.
Available now, people. I know for certain. Everywhere on all streaming platforms. Shaheed, It's On Tonight, along with my song Waitlist. All produced by my cousin DJ Debonair Samir. Thank you, Samir, for the blessings. I hope you guys love it. What you guys go get it?
Is looking good. These bitches better beware. Beware. You know I just don't care. Looks so damn good it ain't fair. Yeah. I hate the price of gas. We need a raise in pay. My boss can kiss my ass. It's celebration day.
It's foul language a little bit.
Tonight.
Hey.
And don't we look good? We feeling all right. We know we catch.
I want to shout out the Singletary family too. For their love and support. You, Boom. You always got my back. I appreciate the love, cuz you already know.
Always. It will never stop.
Thank you. With that kind of love and support, how can you fail? People, once again, we want to say thank you for checking us out, spending your time with us. Beautiful Sunday with us. It's been a blessing to talk about Black History Month. We hope you guys enjoy it. We'll see you next week on What People Say.
Oh, hey, let's